It began with my close talented friend Ryan Burt, who mainly acts in films.
Oh, God, I'm gonna barf.
We started brainstorming with some ideas, and we began to take some notes down. I watched a recent release called The Son of Rambo. I wasn't particularly fond of the film, I just watched the documentary, like the making of it, and I learned just to love the actual idea. When I first started, began making films, I just enjoyed the whole playfulness of it. I just really enjoyed pretending to be something that you're not. It was almost like being a child again, just playing games and really just letting your imagination be really liberating and creative. So I just thought to myself, why don't we just be really creative, just go out there and make a really ambitious film where it's almost like a game, where we play characters older than we actually are, and are capable to have a really different plot, just to have that standard. Then Ryan began to write some ideas. We both established that we were fans of multi-storyline narratives, like hyperlink cinema, like the films of Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia, or Alejandro González Iñárritu's Amores Perros, and obviously Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, in which I drew most of my influence from. Not only the homage to black and white suits, but reference to archer camera angles like the famous boot shot.
It's fucking horrible, that. Get his fucking head out. Fucking natural.
Ryan liked films that also had a twist, how everything came together. I agree, because not many films these days unfold. They mainly just follow the protagonist, or either have just a beginning, a middle and an end, so you know what's going to happen in the first 15 minutes. So we wanted to create a hyperlink narrative with a twist.
So entwined with the briefcase and with the task.
By now we had different ideas for the different stories. We had an idea of an older character who's under house arrest and has psychological issues. We had the characters that represented the working class society, and the characters who represented the law and authority, which we had made incorrupt, because we wanted to use the conventional idea of binary oppositions, such good cop, bad cop. We just went really insane with it and had fun. Finally the script was wrote and complete. I had read it, visioned it in my head perfectly, precisely made storyboards and ran on ambition. I then began shooting with my dad's 8mm video camcorder. The script was more than 40 pages long, so it was my intention to make my very first feature film. Therefore I wanted it to be like 80 to 90 minutes at least. But it was my most ambitious project I had done. The first few weeks shooting the scenes went very well, as it was extremely varied, because it ranged from shooting at night to an abandoned warehouse and a cafe, and it just made me understand how accessible everything was and reinforced my creative freedom. I learned a lot of filmmaking techniques when I made this film. For example, when the scene where Jerry tries to confront Jeff, but Jeff then pushes him down, I carefully positioned Jerry to take a step down the steps, therefore the camera could look up at Jeff if he was the more dominant character on screen. Another method that I enjoyed most of all was to position two characters in the frame at the same time, because it felt more like I was directing a performance opposed to selecting. I really enjoyed this process of putting two or more characters in the frame, because it's almost like a play, and there's this aesthetical quality that you don't get from many films. It made me realise the better director you are by using little frames as possible, which refers to an interesting quote from my favourite director. Let the audience be the editors. Let them choose who they want to look at and when.
I'm not much good with these newfangled things, but I think that's the one there.
To capturing the scenes, I learned the directing tricks of the trade along the way. I started loading these scenes onto my computer and understood the importance of editing, and I realised how it gave me the feeling of watching my vision come together. The whole shooting experience became extremely stressful. The whole shoot started becoming more further apart, and the actors became less optimistic about the project because people weren't sticking to the shooting schedules. People lost their passion for the project, as I tried to persuade them to do it, but the reliance wasn't good. I had shot about half the film and left it for a while. After time I realised how the footage just didn't work, because it wouldn't work as a film, because it was unbelievable to the audience. Me and my friend Ryan just both agreed to stop production. The main lesson I learned from this was to never give up, because that's when your film dies. It's like a living being. Once left, it slowly disappears. But at the end of it all, I learned the best experience ever of directing skills. And I just learned just to keep the determination of expressing your vision.